Good morning, everybody. This is Terry with Gateway to Counseling, and I am coming with you today to bring you peace, joy, love, and light, of course, into the lives of millions. And we have a show called the ASKTERRY Show, right? And we answer questions that you might have, either that you have here on the show or that you send to me through message. Some people just ask me questions during the course of the day. So I'm answering those questions. Today's question, let me back up. We come to you Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays from 8:15 to 8:30, and then we rebroadcast in our group, okay? So today's question is basically, how do I stop worrying? This person is saying that she's always worrying about something, and she wants to know how to overcome that. Um, I I think that by our very human nature that we worry about things, right? Um, am I going to be late to work? Am I going to run into a train? What is the traffic going to be like? Oh no, I hope traffic is not bad today. If I'm late to work, what is my boss going to do? We're always in this zone of worrying about something going on in our lives. If I forget to pay my bills, what's going to happen, right? Which typically motivates us to pay our bills on time. um, I remember sometimes I play this little game. Like I'm driving in the car and I see this huge hole in the road, right? And I think, I wonder what would happen if I hit that hole, right? Um, but I think that this person is beyond just thinking about what's going to happen in the future. It's it's taking it to a different level. It's taking it to more maybe of an anxiety level where you're not only thinking about what can happen in the future, but you're actually focused on it and can't let it go. And you're thinking of only the negatives, right? So, how do we overcome that? Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is that you live in the present. So, if you're worried, for example, about losing your job, let's just pick that one up because I spoke about that one first. Let's say that you're constantly late to work and you're worried that your boss is going to let you go. Well, first of all, you got to be proactive and stop being late to work. you know, why are you late to work? Do you have kids that are constantly late in the morning getting up for school and you have to make sure that they get out the house on time and they're causing you to be late? Well, then we need to implement some consequences because they're affecting y'all's livelihood, right? So every time that they wake up late, causing you to be late, you give them a punishment, right? It could be something like you got to do extra chores around the house to earn extra money. You have to, give up your video games because that's the reason why you were late getting up in the morning, right? So whatever fits that particular thing. So you have to see what is the source of the anxiety, what is the source of you worrying, and then meet that head on. Again, if you're worried about losing your job because you're constantly late, let's stop being late. Let's find out why you're being late and solve that problem. I'm the type of person that I don't like to have problems lingering over my head. I want to solve them and get past them, and then I have more peace in my life, right? So if you're worried about maybe your marriage, for example, you're worried about the fact that y'all are arguing all the time and you don't know how it's going to affect y'all's relationship and your children, then let's stop the arguing, right? Let's have a better relationship. Let's improve our communication skills. Let's have date night and let's work on our relationship so that we don't have to worry about losing that relationship, right? Or losing that love. Maybe you're worried about dying, or you're worried about a family member dying. That might be a real concern, right? I think I've shared with you guys that one of my friends died of cancer several months ago. And we knew that this was going to happen. We didn't know exactly when it was going to happen, but we knew she was pretty bad off. And so, yeah, there's going to be some worry about the fact that she is going to be passing away. We don't know when she's going to be passing. So there's going to be a little anxiety about how to handle life after she's gone, especially for her husband and her two daughters, right? So what do you do with that? That is a real legitimate concern. Well, again, guys, you live in the present. You make plans for the future, okay? So you say things like, you have this open, honest conversation and say, I'm dying. Or you say to your spouse, we know that this is not good. So let's start talking about what your desires are for the future. How do you want to live these days that we have together right now? What do we want to do with the children so that we create lasting memories with them? And then let's start going to the funeral home and making funeral arrangements and picking out your headstones and all those things so that there's not a burden. It's actually something that we're doing together and that we're maybe, I won't say enjoying, but we're spending time together. Even include the children on this. I'm sorry. Maybe I see death different than the way some people do, but it is a part of life. And therefore, if you're having anxiety about it, then let's meet it head on in the present. I don't know what this person's anxiety is about. I don't know what this person is worrying about. But I can tell you that living in the present solves a lot of that. I like to study the Buddhist religion because it talks a lot about being focused on the now and not living in the present. There's also a book called, there's several books from Dr. Hawkins, David Hawkins, and he talks a lot about living in the present. So one of the things that you might start practicing doing is actually meditation. Okay. And in your meditation, it clears your mind. And most people think of meditation as sitting down with your legs crossed and your hands in a certain position and you're breathing in and out and you're hopefully not having any thoughts. I haven't met anyone that can just completely clear their mind for anything over a substantial amount of time. Usually thoughts are entering into your mind every so many seconds, right? And so when you're meditating, what you're doing is you're receiving those thoughts and you're letting them go. So it's not that you're not having thoughts, it's that the thoughts are coming in, but they're not occupying your space and you're letting them go. I love doing yoga. And the reason I love doing yoga, I do a yoga called Serenity or Surrender. And the reason why I love it is you get into a position and you hold that position anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And you tell me if your mind's going to clear. Because your mind becomes so in tune with your body that you're thinking about this muscle over here is stretching and this muscle right here in my neck is stretching. And I feel this sensation over here. And oh, this is hurting. Let me breathe, right? And breathe into the pain so that the pain goes away and the muscle relaxes even more. And so what happens is that you begin to be more in tune with the now instead of yesterday or tomorrow. The other thing that I like to do is, you guys know me, I like to work out and I like to do runs. I like to do 10-mile runs. If I don't have time for a 10-mile run, then I am going to do maybe a 6, 7, 8-mile run, right? I did that what was that? I did that on Friday. I did it again on Saturday morning. And the reason why I like an extended run is because the first couple of miles, my mind is still congested with what did I do today? What did I do right today? What did I do wrong today? What do I need to do tomorrow? How can I be better? And so my mind is kind of cluttered. But as I start getting past 3-4 miles, my mind becomes really focused on my breathing. It becomes focused on my steps and my strides. It becomes focused on just being. And so that's why I enjoy running. So it keeps me in the now. So those are just a couple of little tips. Notice, guys, that I spoke a little bit about what can be causing you anxiety, because I do want you to understand that we have to meet some of those things head on. Here's a real anxiety that meditation and yoga might not be able to solve, right? If you have anxiety over paying your bills, that's a real anxiety. If you know that you make this amount of money and your bills come up to this amount of money, so bills here, income here, that doesn't match, does it? And so we have to find a solution to that problem. Either one, go out and get a better job. Two, go and get some education. And I'm not talking about necessarily going to college, but maybe, I don't know, becoming a massage therapist, and you take I think they do like a 6-week, 6-month course, right? So do that, right? But go back to school, go into welding, right? Whatever it is that you might be interested in, go and take some courses for that. And yes, there's financial aid and student loans and things like that. So there's no excuses. And yes, there's online courses. And yes, there's morning classes, afternoon and evening classes. And yes, you can find babysitters. I'm debunking all of your excuses of why you can't maybe go back to school. But if you don't want to go back to school because you just hate school that much, then find a way to get a better paying job. I was talking to someone whose daughter works at a restaurant as a waitress, and she's making $30,000 to $40,000 a year. She's young. That's a lot of money for her. I don't know if that's a lot of money for you. Maybe it's not. But you got to figure out a way. And maybe it's not that you leave your current job because you like your current job and it pays pretty well. It just doesn't meet your needs. Or do we need to cut back on your expenses? Forget going to Starbucks every day. Forget going out to eat every weekend. Forget, all these things that you're spending money on. Forget having to go on that trip because your friends are all going on that trip. What I'm saying is maybe you have to change up your lifestyle, go back to school, get a second job, cut out the expenses so that you stop the worrying. Bottom line, guys, what is the source of your anxiety? Why are you worrying? What are you worrying about? And what can you do to control that situation even better, right? So I hope that has been helpful. Again, my name is Terry. I'm with Gateway to Counseling, and we are here to bring you peace, joy, love, and light into the lives of millions. Just a click away, anytime, anywhere. We do say enter our gates into a brighter tomorrow. Only $49, guys. We do take insurance. Bye-bye.